Sabres game night, and they are down in Florida to take on the Panthers pregame at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop, both, of course, right here on WGR. Zach Benson was on the ice for morning skate today, and while he was not ruled out for tonight, head coach Lindy Ruff did say the more likely option is for Benson to make his return tomorrow when they take on Tampa. Tonight, though, in net, all signs are pointing to Alex Lyon getting the start. And then just 3 other games tonight across the NHL. Also at 7, the Capitals play host to Las Vegas. At 9, the Wild, they're in Utah versus the Mammoth. Then at 10, the Ducks, they host the Winnipeg Jets. To the Bills, they did announce another re-signing, safety Sam Franklin, to a 3-year deal worth up to $7.5 million. We'll get more on the Bills when Sal Capacio joins the show in a little bit, just after 5 p.m. The Cowboys did officially franchise tag wide receiver George Pickens, and we do have the cap number for 2026. It is going to be $301.2 million, which is a $22 million jump from last year. And at the Combine, more on-the-field testing, and today it is DBs and tight ends. Tomorrow, it's going to be quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs. And then here locally, some game action. The Bandits, they host the Rush just after 7:30, and you can listen to tonight's game over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
My dad's not here right now. He's still at work. So I'm going to blast him.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I'm going to see if there's a clean version so that my parents and the people at my school will not get mad at me. We've got the spritzer filled with water just in case if stuff gets too fire. I'm going to set up the speaker and I'm going to listen to
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I think this is the best
Mike Schopp
feature that I've heard in a long time. I think his flow is really good in it, and I like his aggressiveness on it, and
the Bulldog.
Put not enough effort in it. I think overall his flow was good, but I don't like that mobile rapping. That was my review of
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Didn't need the spritzer. Wasn't fire enough. No spritzer for you. No spritzer.
Well, if you enjoyed that, try it on FM.
I've been listening on FM.
Wow.
Bassy.
That's my cheat code to get in here 25 years ago. How good does this guy sound? Parentheses, he's on FM, don't you know? That's why he sounds so good.
That's right.
I needed that little bump. Shorts day. Should have been. It isn't for me, it should have been. Classic shorts day. Don't you think? 46 and sunny.
No.
Not warm enough?
No, I don't. I don't know. I'm just not.
I didn't wear a coat.
I'm not going to. I thought about not wearing a coat because I have a hoodie on anyway, but I was out in the backyard before I came and I was like, I think I want a coat.
Shade?
No, the sun. I was in the sun.
Really?
It just felt
Weird.
like I felt like I needed to, even though because I had to stop. So I was in and out more. It wasn't just car here, I went to the grocery store.
Some are saying cold for a couple of days ahead, and then this.
It's coming, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that the best? It's the best. The hockey games, you love the point about hockey games when it's light out.
Yep.
And
we're almost there.
We're almost there. The Sabres are going to be home a lot starting on Tuesday. That's their first home game post-break against Vegas. Then there's one road game.
And a week from Sunday is the Clocks, I think.
Yep.
It was 2. Yeah, right? So, all right, we got another week to go for that.
Another week to go for that. And is it 6 out of 7? Not to jump past the Florida games here, but I think it might be 6 out of 7 it is at home after Tampa on, tomorrow. Florida tonight, Tampa tomorrow. It's getting close. The deadline is in 1 week.
That's right, a week from today.
And have you honed in on, all of this? What they are, what they lack? Who they might be willing to sell for a part to help them do what? Make a run, get in? What? Let's kind of get specific on what this is, if you want.
Yeah. I did a little on Wednesday, some of this.
All right, moving on.
But no, I mean
the Briar starts tonight.
I didn't go long and hard. And I'm not honed in on like I want this guy or not that guy or what, but I think like most observers, I think they almost I'd be very surprised anyway if they didn't add a depth defenseman, an experienced 30-year-old guy on the blue line. I don't even really care how much money he makes if it's only for a year. I just need a guy to play 16 or 18 minutes just to upgrade, just in case Timmins doesn't come back from his injury real well, or if Kesselring has another problem, because it's just been one thing after another for him this year. And I think they really need another guy that they can trust. And it'll be sheltered minutes. Those top four are going to play the hardest minutes on the team amongst them. And I think you just need an upgrade of what you've got behind them to mix in with Metza and Bryson and again Kesselring. Those are the three guys that are playing those two spots right now while Timmins is still hurt. I think another guy, another Timmins, basically, I guess, is
Twimmins.
Kind of all I'm looking for. I get the impression Sneaky Joe has sort of been crushing on the Tyler Myers idea. His name came up in here a couple of weeks ago, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
Amongst us. I like that idea fine. I don't see the Sabres mentioned in that. He's been sitting games since the return. I don't think they had one game. He didn't play in it, and it was thought to be for trade reasons. And there's, no move clause, and Detroit and Dallas and I think another team that I've seen mentioned without any mention of the Sabres. So I don't know if that means anything. It doesn't have to. But, just a player like him, even someone who was highly touted at one time in his career, but is basically just sort of playing out the string as a journeyman. I could plug him in for 15 minutes in the most comfortable, sheltered matchups and feel like, all right, he moves pretty well, moves the puck all right. He's not producing points like he did in the middle of his career or certainly early in his career, but I got other guys for that. So someone like that, to me, would make a lot of sense.
Is, dare I say it, Ristolainen someone like that? At $2.1 million more, both on the last years of their deal?
I think it would be hilarious if they
definitely
did that.
Would be hilarious.
And what I don't know is, if you used him like I'm describing, could that work? Like if you're not counting on him to play 22 minutes against the best competition, could that help you? And I don't know the answer to that because I don't know that we've ever seen him. But I've been following how he's being used in Philadelphia.
I feel like I'm his all-time biggest critic.
Right.
But how could the answer to that be no? How could he not help you in that role?
Right. Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
Maybe you could do better.
Sure.
You probably can do better.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Mm-hmm. Based on whatever, size, money, age, specific role, left, right, I don't know.
Right.
Whatever the other variables
But if I'm
would
not
be.
asking this guy to do too much, which really that's what I'm building here, then maybe that does work. As long as you don't try to play him, against Sidney Crosby, maybe you're okay.
So what is that, a draft pick?
Yeah, I would think.
Not even a high draft pick, like a third-round draft pick or something?
Shouldn't be a high pick.
Okay. Is that it? Is that it? And, I mean, I'm not loading this question.
I know.
Is that it? And what then am I shooting for? What am I trying to do? Everybody's trying to win it. So the Sabres would say they were trying to win it.
Yeah.
Fine. I don't know what the difference is in this league this year, or at least in the East, between getting in and winning the conference. Like, really, it's pretty live.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, not that you really can do this. Like, you're not going to intentionally make a move that sort of caps you at a certain point. The games are too random and it's too close. But I don't want to do anything that would sort of mitigate my chances. If you're in it, be in it, is what I'm saying. If that means a good draft pick, if that means a good prospect, and if that even means like someone up front, I think I want to listen.
Yeah. I think that's
They're not even in yet.
That's within reason, I think, for sure. When I talked about this on Wednesday, a point I kept making is I think the right now, aside from outside people coming in, like acquisitions, which is what we're talking about. I think the single biggest wild card, variable, whatever synonym of that you want, for them right now is Norris. So I feel like Norris is a fantastically talented, productive player. And if he can play these 24 games now and stay healthy in the playoffs, I think they can finish second or third, and I think they can win. They're not. If they get that, they're playing Detroit or Montreal or Boston, most likely one of those three teams right now.
Coin flip at worst.
Yeah, and even any of the stuff, anybody that's behind there, if they were to get hot and displace one of those teams, provided of course it's not you. That's not whether you're the 3 or the 2 is immaterial. I think that's a matchup you would be live in. And then from there, I mean, what are we talking about? We're into the second round. And so I think if you agree with the premise that Norris is enough of a meter mover to me, then adding another guy, like if you could find your way to Jack Quinn is always the guy that I settle on. I feel like of the youngish guys here, he's the one, like the younger guys. Like I'm not eager to move Osland or even Helenus at this point. I would move Quinn because I feel like we might be at his peak here, and it's all right. He's had some good moments, but if I could find an upgrade to his spot and include him in the deal, yeah, then I'm talking about ones. I'm talking about draft picks and prospects. I think, yeah, I'm talking about making a buyer move more than supplementing my decor with a depth player. I could add a top 6 guy to this team. I think it's not uncalled for, and it would further, to me, make them a team that could go further than just win a round.
There are a fair number of teams, I think this is more true of the East than the West, that are already kind of cooked. Maybe in a week this will be even clearer if everybody plays 4 more games first and we're down to 20 games. How many is it, though? It's not that many. That's what, you got to limit your ideas to teams that are dead. And how many teams is that? Or will that be in a week?
It might be 5 at most in the East.
Okay. Yeah, at most in the East, yes.
Including Ristolainen's Philadelphia Flyers. I feel like Toronto and Florida. I mean, Ottawa's in the same boat, I guess. So I mean, maybe I should make it 6 or make it 4.
Is Florida going to dump though?
I don't know. That's the thing about at least in the Atlantic, the 3 teams that are the farthest away, Ottawa, Toronto, Florida. I think all to different degrees, but especially Florida because they're who they are. I don't want to rule them out yet. And I would be surprised if they're ruling themselves out. This run for them began, in a year where they didn't win the cup, but they were this team. They were, fighting it out with the Sabres and a bunch of other teams for the last spot in the East, and they got it, and they went all the way to the final.
It's funny, these Sabres teams of the last decade, especially toward the beginning side of the drought, when you're 9 points out, that's Florida, 24 games, 9 points. It's more than it may sound. You've got all these other teams between you and the spot. I'm me already. I'm already wired this way. Like I'm pretty quick to all right, let's sell it. Let's be sellers. Who do we have? Because we're not winning. And that part of that logic always was, can I really win the Stanley Cup? When you're not in a playoff drought, that's the point. Is not whether you can get in the playoffs. Which teams in the NHL make the playoffs as their goal? 1? I mean, really, that's not everybody's goal. The goal is to win it all. And so you want to, I think, look at your roster and be objective as objective as you can be about it, and then say, well, is this a team that's capable of winning a championship? Now, I don't know that I want to say the Sabres are exactly capable of winning the Stanley Cup, but it's pretty close in the conference, and they are a team whose goal is to make the playoffs, or was, if it isn't anymore. Like, they're not in yet. So it's always, this is what's interesting about it all. Like in football too, all sports, teams with their different calculuses, if that's the right word, calculi, on just sort of what, welcome to the show, calculi, what their vision is. If I'm Florida, screw it. I don't have to sell anybody. Maybe I want to. A guy's on an expiring contract and he's not really helping me. There's always merit to that, but I don't have to really do anything. I could die in game 82 and have a parade because of the run that I've been to the finals 3 times in a row.
Right.
So that's one. Toronto is in between the Sabres and the Panthers, where they've had playoff appearances, lots of them, haven't really gotten anywhere. If you're at the end of your life cycle as a group, then you could, last night was bad for them.
And the night before even. They've lost back-to-back games in Tampa and then Florida.
Right.
And that's a team that I think should be real about what they've been all year, because all year they have been this team. If you watch them in October and November, and then watch them again, the last couple of nights or before the break, they're not good. They don't have it. They do not have what they've had in years past. Losing Marner took a lot out of what their fastball was, and with that said, they're a team, an organization that has spent year over year with that core trying to find another pitch because just scoring wasn't going to be enough. We need more grit. We need more toughness. We need more whatever it is that Marner, Nylander, Matthews, and Tavares don't represent. We need more of that. We need more of not those guys. And, it's not working out. The goaltending has not been stable, and they've had big injuries. And to me, it's still close enough. They're 9 points behind where the Sabres are right now. I guess, and that makes them 8 points out of a wild card spot because Boston is still holding that down, and they're a point behind Buffalo. So could they win a couple games between now and next Friday and feel like we're within striking distance? Probably, but that's an organization that for the first time in a long time, Toronto, that should be looking in the mirror going, we don't have it. I don't know that they will because of the market they're in, but they should look at themselves and go, we don't have it.
How do you feel about the timing of the deadline? Is there enough time to convince teams like the Leafs or the Panthers that it's too late? You'll have 20 games left, about.
Yeah.
And maybe that when you're 9 points out, we did the 10-game winning streak dance back when Kevin Adams was still the GM, and ha ha ha. Then they went and did it, right. and caught up. They caught up from a deficit like this, or even a lesser one, by winning 10 in a row. Is that what Toronto is looking at, or Philadelphia is looking at? Like, would the math look the same way to them? Because when Paul was talking about a 10-game winning streak when the Sabres had 60 games left, like, come on. They really don't need 10 straight. They kind of did.
Just to get in it.
They
really.
did. And now there's 24 left, and they're a few points ahead. They've won since then. They haven't won, a long winning streak since then, but still, they've kept up. Wednesday was big. Wednesday was like, this is an even game, and to get a regulation win in a game like that, like we got one more play than the Devils did. Like, those are the ones I think that kind of make the difference at the end of the season when you can win those boring games where nothing really happens,
right?
And you still get 2 points.
Just get a couple of great plays from your best guy, and you get home. Your goalie makes some big saves, and that's a road win. Thanks for coming.
Well, you mentioned Quinn. Isn't it always Quinn?
Yeah.
Like, he's everybody's name for this. He power play minutes. I don't know. Do you think the Sabres would think the same way of him as the guy like that would be movable? Or is he maybe, by his usage, seemingly more important to them than that? Like, is he somebody that they would not want to relinquish as opposed to like a Hellenius or someone like that who I would like to see back up here? Like, I'm ready for him to come back, and I don't want to see him traded.
Right. I same. That's why when I mentioned Quinn, I think I even said, like, there's young guys I don't want. Osland and Helenius to me are the guys at the top of the list. Assuming you're also, not willing to trade, Tuck or Tom, whatever, the big guys, the mainstays.
Which that's out.
But yeah, of course. Yeah. Like that is not happening. So I think it's so obvious that it took us 10 minutes of this conversation to even mention his name. So I don't know that they're going to get him signed, but I cannot imagine a scenario where they're trading him with the year that they're having and even he's having. So yeah, Quinn is it. And it feels to me because when I watch and I'm not sure if the numbers back this up. I just feel like he is all around play. Like he is the guy that I worry the most about. Like defensively, does he have it? So, I might not get a perfect guy if I go try to trade for someone who's an upgrade in scoring for him. But at least maybe I'd get more scoring if I'm still going to have someone who's a bit of a defensive concern. So, like that to me is the one, because he's in between enough. He's not as young and promising anymore as Halanus or Oslin, at least in my opinion. And he never really graduated to like what Peterka was before he got traded away, or what the guys at the top of the lineup are. He's sort of in between, right? He's young 20s, but he's not the core. He's not a up and comer anymore. Like you feel like you got a baseline of what and who he is. And with all that said, he has reclaimed enough of his career. Like it looked for a little while after the leg injuries, back-to-back leg injuries, like I was worried about him being,
useful at all.
Useful at all, right. Mm-hmm. And I think he's managed to do that. So I don't feel like I don't have a crisis there, but if I could get better there, I would dip into my stuff, my picks, my prospects, and see what I can shake loose.
It's so much fun being on the other side of this for once.
Yeah, I know.
As opposed to
not thinking at all about selling anyone here.
Yeah.
There's just not. It's not. They're far enough in. While they don't have it made. Right. It's 5 points still. I feel like they're safe enough that I don't have to even think about Alex Tuck. It's not. If they were on the edge, if they were Ottawa right now or Washington, 5 points back is what Washington is. Ottawa's a little further. What do I want to do? Do I want to go? Do I want to add? Do I want to keep going? Do I want to divest myself of Tuck? What do I do? I think being where they are in the standings takes Tuck completely off the table.
Yes, and that is such an awkward position, especially, again, if you're in that playoff drought, and you might think it's just worth more to make it because you haven't in so long. Your fan base is so desperate, and maybe your job status and everything like that. Well, compared to other years, they're not going to be sellers, obviously, but what we were talking about with them last year at this time, as I remember it, wasn't so much trades as it was speculation that they would keep veterans, and we didn't always think they should because they, quote, wanted to be here, that stuff with Adams. And that was Jason Zucker. And, Samuelson was already signed, but we wanted to be done with Samuelson.
Greenway was an extension last year, too. Yeah,
that's right. And so far, Adams isn't around for it, but he and they have gotten paid off.
Zucker certainly has been a very important part of the team. Greenway, I like him when he's there, but holy cow, this has been a lost year for him. So they went 1 for 2 on those 2 veteran extensions, I'd say.
You're forgetting how interesting he was when he was mic'd up.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a great segment.
Yeah.
Mic'd up hockey players.
Yeah.
Even at the Olympics, it sucked. Like they have Kachuk mic'd up, and Olchek is like, wow, this is awesome. I can't even hear him. Half his words are the F word anyway, probably. Like you don't even get anything out of that.
Yeah.
Make it interesting, and then let's get to mic'd up. Here's someone interesting, Sam Panayotovich. He was born mic'd up. That guy, he was born for it. We'll talk to Sam as we get going on this Friday Chicken Dinner podcast. Look at some other sports and some futures odds with Sam. That'll be after the break. Mike Janiti of Spot Track. This is always good. So how does the salary cap work, Mike? Can you please just tell us everything we need to know about cuts?
On a day when the definitive number was announced in the league for the salary cap, so good timing.
Right. Who costs what? What does the bump in the cap really essentially mean to teams? Like, is that, everybody gets the same raise, as it were. So that kind of stuff with Mike Janiti coming up at 4. Sal Capacio at 5. Pregame for Sabres-Panthers. Paul Hamilton leads things off at 6. Game's at 7. Thanks for being with us. We'll talk to Sammy P. after this. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
mentally, and then is he a one-spot guy physically? The guys that you love, you can't get your hands on enough, are the guys like a Khalil Shakir. Khalil is super smart. He's an inside guy first, but he can go outside and play. When they come out of the huddle, you don't know where they're going to line up. We do the same with our tight end group, our running back group. Just try to have as many different positionless players so that when you come out of the huddle, that just creates opportunities, to get the right mismatch.
Brandon Beane at the Combine. I don't know if the Bills back that up at all.
No.
I mean,
No.
Sounds good, but they haven't really been that team.
No.
There's no confusion over where Shakir or Kincaid or Knox or Cook are lining up. They haven't fiddled with that at all.
No. I don't want to say never. I mean, I'm sure it's not never, but holy cow, the percentages have to be very high on him lining up in the slot.
He's saying they already have players like that, naming Shakir.
Right.
Not just that they want them in this draft.
I am not here to say that Shakir, we've heard that since Shakir was drafted. I remember talking to Matt Harmon even, Reception Perception. That he's versatile. He can do, but they don't use him that way. So I don't really know what we're talking about. I don't know if that's just get through the off season. Or what? Because it just sounds, it's some version of my running back could be our slot receiver. It's that kind of talk, which is always an eye roll. And this,
you could actually do that too.
Yeah, you could.
But you see it.
Sure, guys line up there.
Not here.
Right.
I don't know. We're not falling for it. Sam Panayotovich with us on the West Her Hotline. Sam, how are you?
You guys ever have those days when you just step on a rake all day?
Oh yeah.
Never once.
It just took me 32 minutes to make a sports bet at the Encore Boston Harbor. I'm ready to kill somebody. Like it should not take that long.
So what is this? You went to a place in Boston and what? There are lines?
There's nobody working at the sports book right now. There's literally not a soul in here. I'm in the sports book right now at the Encore Boston Harbor, which is the biggest casino in Massachusetts. And the sports book has 10 windows. They're all closed. There's not a single staffer there. So then I got to go to the kiosk to make this bet, but the kiosk only takes $300 unless you have your player's card. Well, guess who doesn't have a player's card? Me. So now I got to go to Win Rewards and get a player's card, and there's a line there, and then I get back to the kiosk, and they don't scan, like this card isn't scanning. So all I want to do is bet. Just take my money, and I can't get my bet done. 32 minutes it took for me to finally place this bet.
You did get it in before we called. Good.
Barely.
I think I know what it is.
Do you want to share? Yeah,
I think I know what it is.
Because this preamble story here to the bet being placed will make the win even sweeter if you hit it. So I want to enjoy that with you if you hit.
Yeah, no, I've got a nice bet, multiple bets on Illinois +2 tonight against Michigan.
Yes, I made this bet when you texted me, and it took me 32 seconds, I believe, to make this bet. But not for as much money. Not for nearly as much money. I know that. Why do we like Illinois so much?
I just think they should be favored in the game. My numbers have Illinois -2. I'm getting 2, so I have a 4-point discrepancy. Michigan's got a really good defense, but their bigs are very paint-oriented. They like to camp around the rim, which most bigs do, and they always used to do in the 80s and 90s. But Illinois's got 4 bigs that can shoot. So they really space the floor and stretch you out. And, given the fact that they're at home where they're very tough to beat, Illinois, I don't know if you guys know this, Illinois, Ken Pom has been doing advanced analytics since 1997. This is the number 1 offense in the history of his database, Illinois. They are very good. They got shooters everywhere. If the shots go in, they're going to win tonight.
All right. Here's to it.
Noted. I gotta go take a look. I didn't get a text.
Did I sell you? Did I sell you? It sounded like I sold you there.
Yeah. No, you definitely sold me.
There's no way you didn't.
Yeah.
All you have to do is say it, and we're in.
Yeah. It doesn't take a lot. Yeah. Often this happens on Friday nights after the show, and I'm at the bar already. And that you took me out for a ride on Rutgers that one time. That didn't work out real well.
I got a text from Sam, maybe Monday, that simply said Blue Jays. Guess what? Bam, money. I also got a text from him the other day that said Red Sox. Guess what? Bam, no money. But still, nobody wins them all. Nobody wins them all.
Right, that's right.
All right, we're in on Illinois.
And I'd like to congratulate you, Sam, as a much younger man than the amongst the three of us for getting to aggravated complaining on the radio about the inconvenience of making your bet. Or just anything in general. You've had a very much old man yelling at clouds vibe here to start, which you're easing into your later years,
middle age.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm sure my ancestors were so proud that I'm complaining about not being able to get down $1,000 on a basketball game from a casino. Yeah, I'm sure they're very proud right now.
I mean, I've been to enough casinos. Sure. Not always is there that many, that much going on staff-wise, but I'm sure the waitresses were everywhere. I'm sure you couldn't stop turning down drinks.
I'm still here. There's nobody here. I haven't seen one person with like a win badge or anything. Like it's remarkable. I mean, we don't have to talk about this all day, obviously, but like you used to be able to go into a casino and you could bet. I mean, you could bet $1,000 easily. I mean, it's a big bet for a lot of people, but relative to the bigger, I mean, there's going to be somebody that's going to bet 10 or 20,000 on the game tonight. I mean, that's a huge bet in my world. But the fact that I can't make a bet over $300 unless I have a player's card and I scan in and all that stuff, open up a counter and take my money and then let me see.
It is Boston, by the way, too, not like a small town.
Right.
You would think maybe Boston could handle this.
It's not like you're in Worcester or something.
You're not even in Worcester. Sam Panayotovich with us. Sam and I were talking about going to a baseball game this summer. That's a plan we might start to put down. What about baseball futures? You mentioned the White Sox, I think maybe last week when you were on. You're a White Sox fan, by the way, if that matters. Probably doesn't. But you like them to clear their number. What else are you thinking baseball-wise?
So I did actually I did make a drive yesterday. I bet some White Sox to win the AL Central at 40-1. That number's gone. I talked to a lot of guys in Vegas for my job, and two of the bigger wise guy casinos in Vegas, they have a market up on this stuff too, and every book has a different price. So the Westgate has the White Sox at 21-1, and then Circa has them at 23-1. So if those respected books that take money from winning players, if they're at 21 and 23, I'm betting the 40. I don't even care what it is. It's just a numerical edge. So that number's like 35 and 30 now across the market. And then somebody told me I need to bet on Jack Caglione to hit 30 home runs. He's the lefty, the power kid from the Royals.
Yep.
And I mean, he was destroying the minor leagues last year. Then he got up and he went into a slump. But when he connects, I don't know how much Jack Tags you guys have seen. He hits the ball hard.
Jack Tags.
I mean, he hit a ball the other day in spring training. It was 122 miles an hour off the bat. It's unheard of. So if he can land a couple in the barrel, you could find a nice price on him to hit 30-plus home runs.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about the Seahawks as a defending champion going into next year. So much is still to happen. You've got the Rams and the Niners, both playoff teams, both good or great even. How do the Seahawks feel to you as a reliable bet next year with, largely the same team, of course, a different offensive coordinator? Walker maybe leaves, and, Bulldog will tell you it's still Sam Darnold, right? I mean, you're still going to be like a little bit or a lot skeptical. Do the Seahawks feel like a team that the public will want to go under on because of some of these factors?
I love that Bulldog is still not quite there on Sam Darnold. All he's done is win like 27 regular season games in a Super Bowl, and Bulldog's like, I don't know.
Look, neither were you 2 games ago.
I'm not in on him like Hall of Famer, but I mean, is he even 30 yet?
I don't think so.
I think he was young at the draft, so yeah. I mean, he's younger than
If
Josh
Allen isn't, then he
right.
isn't. Yeah, right. I think that's right.
Yeah,
I think he was in 2017 draft, wasn't he? When he was 21.
No, he was the 18 draft. Same draft as Baker. He was 3rd overall after Baker.
Okay, yeah. So he's right on the cusp of turning 30, and a lot of quarterbacks just don't find themselves until 30, or more importantly, they don't win until 30. I mean, when was Drew Brees? How old was Drew Brees when he first won the Super Bowl? I mean, he was probably in his early 30s, and then he put together like 7 great more years of football. So, some guys just find it in different ways. I think the point on Seattle, though, there's a lot of building blocks there that you like. They bring back, I believe they're bringing back 9 defensive starters of the 11, and it could be more. I mean, if they want to pay. the defensive staff is mostly in place, and Mike McDonald is a brilliant coach. I mean, this guy cut his teeth under both Harbaughs. Remember that. He coached under John and Jim. So there's a lot to like there. But really, and I'm walking through a casino right now. I don't have it in front of me. But if you looked at the Seahawks' last 5 first-round picks, they've hit all of them. Like, they've all hit. And that's the key. You want to draft, you want to develop, and you want to play good defense. And they do all those things. And they paid the quarterback. They went for it. I think you can replace Kenneth Walker because the line is really good. So I'm not, usually I see a team win a Super Bowl, I'm like, oh, they're going to regress. I don't know that I would bet them under the win total because they're a well-oiled machine, and they're not going to lose a lot from that team.
Yeah. Did you say this? I have a feeling that the public will not respect them.
Yeah, that's my take on Darnold is I share what I think will be a public skepticism still, because we've seen this with guys. I mean, I wasn't talking to guys like yourself on the betting markets, but like Peyton Manning finally breaks through and wins one, and a year later we're taking calls from people who are convinced Peyton Manning can't win. Because it started. That's where it started, right? What's the narrative on you when you show up? And Darnold, I think, still has the ghost problem, even though he played as well as he played in the playoffs for them, and they've got a Super Bowl ring. I think a lot of people will still have some, and I guess I'm among them, are still going to be like, I'm not sure about him.
Okay. I understand it. I think, though, if you want to, play this out, and this is always a fun game to play right after the season ends, and people always wonder, how do you fill 15 minutes when there's no sports on? This is how. The most popular teams, who do you think they are? I have, 1A. If you were going to give me a draft and I pick first on the most overvalued team, I would take X. Who do you think X is?
Most overvalued?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. How do you want to define that? New England.
Yep, that's it. That's the first pick for me. I'd go New England would be 1, and then if somebody took New England, I'd take Chicago 2. Those teams are going to be so popular. Everybody's going to bet they're over. They flew over their win totals last year, and it's so funny. The Patriot win total, I think it closed at 9, and they won all those games, and they go to the Super Bowl. So what do the sports books do the next year? 9.5.
9.5.
Come on and get it. Yep, come on in. I dare you to do it again.
Come on in. Bet your hometown Patriots. We won't be here to take your bets, but come on in and make those bets. We'll not
send you to the kiosk, and you can make a bet by Monday.
Get your card scanned. Sam can walk through a casino in Boston talking about how the Patriots are overrated, and nobody's there to hear him. It's completely safe space.
Right. You should be getting rolled for that, but you're not. You're in no danger. Not that I want you getting rolled. How do you feel about the Bills as overvalued, Sam? There's a lot of holes to fill. There's a new coaching staff. There's enough to be uneasy about. I mean, we know what a giant eraser jar of whiteout Josh Allen is, but even still, there's a lot to do here.
I think they're priced perfectly. We talked about this last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. 10.5 and the overs minus 140. That sounds just about right. I mean, you guys know this more than I do. I mean, they've been regular season warriors and they've been playoff failures. I mean, my concerns with them are never in the regular season. They're going to win enough to get to the playoffs. They just have to not do Bills things in the playoffs, and that, unfortunately, they just can't. They can't stop doing that. I will say, though, I'm not looking to aggressively bet the Bills like I was last year, but I was listening yesterday. Mike was talking about Mike Evans, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go to rehab if they sign Mike Evans. I'm going to be all in again. I'm going to jump right back in.
Well, we will be here for you if and when. Enjoy your weekend. Good luck out there, Sam.
All right, thanks, guys. Let's get Illinois home tonight, huh?
Let's go. I'm only on 1.5, but hopefully that's enough. Sam Panayotovich, the Chicken Dinner Podcast. He's with us every Friday at 3:30. At 4 today, so 15 minutes and change from now, Mike Janiti of Spot Track. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR. plan with Sam. If we could somehow possibly get away the same time. We have it down to 2 locations for a summer baseball trip.
All right.
Pittsburgh, which is the best, and he's already going to be there one weekend in the summer. And White Sox. And because I've never been to a White Sox game.
Yeah.
That's one of the few on my list that I've never seen.
You're making me wish. I've driven by that ballpark. I've never been either. I've never been to Chicago. I've never gotten out of the car in Chicago. I've driven through a couple times, but I've never spent a minute in Chicago.
I imagine going to a game with him, there'd be a lot of like mound ball.
I would think there'd be action.
Maybe a moon bet.
Yeah. Yeah,
that Greg Bauk made famous, the moon bet.
You're making me regret that I already. When is he going to be in Pittsburgh? Is he going to see the Red Sox in Pittsburgh? Because I'm going to see the Red Sox in Pittsburgh.
I don't know.
I already booked a baseball trip. Yeah, Owen and I are going same. It's actually the same weekend we went to Boston last summer for one game. We're going to Pittsburgh for 2 games that same weekend. See the Red Sox in Pittsburgh.
I know that wasn't easy.
It was, once they finally told me that single game tickets were on sale, which for a while it was just the website didn't even have a date. They didn't want to tell you. I emailed them. They were calling me, hey, what ticket packages are you interested in? I'm like, single game. I would always, single game. And they'd keep calling with it. And finally, I texted a guy back and said, all I really want stop calling me, please. All I really want are single game seats. When did they go on sale? He said they are on sale now. I'm like, okay, thank you. And that afternoon I went out and I bought a Saturday and Sunday, one on the third baseline, one on the first baseline. We're going to 2 games.
It's a big secret.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They don't want to sell you single game tickets,
they don't.
obviously. They want to sell you packages.
They want you to buy a 10-pack or something. Like I don't know.
Where you get 10 games for the price of 8.
Right. Except it's Pittsburgh, which might be convenient if you live like in or around Pittsburgh, but I don't. Obviously,
you don't.
No,
I did that for the Blue Jays for 2 years and split it with friends.
Yeah,
and it was still tough getting up there. Mike Janiti of Spot Track coming up next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Thanks for listening. This is WGR.
Sabres game night tonight, and they are down in Florida to take on the Panthers. Pregame at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. Zach Benson on the ice for morning skate today, and while he was not ruled out for tonight, head coach Lindy Ruff says that the more likely option is Benson will make his return tomorrow when they take on Tampa. In net tonight, though, all signs are pointing to Alex Lyon getting the start. Around the rest of the NHL, though, just 3 games tonight. Also at 7, the Capitals play host to Las Vegas. At 9, the Wild, they're in Utah versus the Mammoth. And at 10, the Ducks, they host the Jets. And then the Rochester Americans, they're also in action tonight. They host Laval just after 7. To the Bills, they announced another re-signing. Safety Sam Franklin, a 3-year deal worth up to $7.5 million. We'll get more on the Bills in just about an hour when Sal Capacio joins the show at 5. The Cowboys, they officially franchise tag wide receiver George Pickens, and with that, the NFL has also announced the salary cap for 2026. It is $301.2 million. That is a jump of $22 million from last year. And the Combine's still going on. We've got field testing continuing today with the defensive backs and tight ends going today. Tomorrow, it'll be quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs. And then in lacrosse, Bandits, they host the Rush tonight just after 7:30, and you can listen to the game over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp
We were having a very serious conversation about mayonnaise here.
and the Bulldog
And don't even talk to me about weed.
on WGR Sports Radio 550.
Well, no big secret by saying this, I think. So many of the guests we have, you might ask them a question that you think you know the answer to.
Or suspect, like you could pretty accurately guess like what kind of answer you're going to get. Yeah.
Most questions I might have for our next guest, I have no idea what the answers are. And I mean that with respect. Mike Janiti with Spot Track joining us on the West Her hotline. I think the timing's great here for our purposes, at least, Mike, with the free agency in the NFL on the horizon and even maybe the NHL trade deadline, although I'm not sure what we need to know about some of those details. But with football, we've got the cap going up. How do you see, just in general to start here, Mike, the Bills' situation as the offseason gets going?
About average. I mean, they're in contention. That's the window they're living in right now, so it's going to be complicated this time of year, at least starting off. They're in the negatives, heading towards, the big week here. So there's work to be done. They're adding, not subtracting right now. I think that's a good sign. So it seems like things are fairly stable, and there's certainly ways to open up some cap space and be somewhat aggressive, I think, when March hits. Not uberly aggressive, but that's sort of the cost of doing business at this level.
And what are some ideas you think that they should be attacking here to try to free up room between now and what is the date for free agency opening? We're a week and a half out, I think.
Yeah, right.
Like midweek. March 11th.
Yeah, right.
March 11th.
Midweek, week after next. Obviously, they've got big contracts. They just did something with Spencer Brown. Dawson Knox is one idea, Mike. They have to do something about that number. I don't think they'll cut this player, but I think they got to adjust that contract.
Yeah, it could get to a cut, maybe with a wink, we're going to bring you back. But certainly the contract has to move one way or another. My guess is, and this has been successful in the past, is there's some sort of pay cut discussion happening behind the scenes with a couple of players. But I think Knox is at the top of that list right now. So it's just about, obviously we want him here, but not at the price tag, and we've got to obviously fill in some room on March 11th. So I think that's prioritized right now as we speak. We'll see where that happens. But I do believe if we're getting to March 9th, March 10th, when the push comes to shove, that they might have to move off of that contract just for flexibility purposes. Outside of that, it's going to be a mixed bag. I expect a little bit of everything: extensions, trades, outright releases, pay cuts, the works, and I don't think Brandon Beane's been too shy about having those kind of off seasons in the past. It's just going to be a little bit more complicated right now.
Mike already alluded to, we got the definitive number on the salary cap for this year. Teams who had I think a working knowledge of about what the increase would be. How much does the year-over-year increase in the cap afford teams the ability to just keep kicking the can down the road. Like I know the Saints were a team that was notorious for years when they weren't even that good anymore, that were still pushing off, and eventually you run out of runway and have to address all that. A team like the Bills that are still so squarely in a contention window, how long can they just sort of keep pushing stuff, void years and all that kind of stuff, off to the future while they're trying to have the best team they can?
Yeah, there's probably somebody much smarter than me that can actually put a number to that, budgetarily with the year-over-year increases, which have been between really the number's about 8% is what I think we're budgeting for year to year on this salary cap increase, which, just happens to be about 21 to 23 million. So it's significant. It's, multiple contracts, it's multiple extensions if you're thinking about it in terms of players. So there's no question that affords GMs the ability to sort of take a deep breath and say, I don't have to think about everything right now. This is, yes, we're winning right now. We're all in right now. But from a salary cap perspective, because of the rules of this CBA, we can make this next year's problem or 4 years down the road's problem with some of these void years. So 66% of the league is doing this right now. And most of them are doing it at a really high rate. Buffalo is one of those teams. They have a dozen void year situations on their books right now. I think they'll add a few more when more of these conversions come to play here. So it's kind of the going rate of doing business, but the league and the salary cap increases are bailing out these GMs in a very positive manner.
With Mike Janiti of Spotrac, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. So we've talked about Knox here. Taylor Rapp seems like maybe a kind of an easy one for this if the Bills were so inclined. Who else might stand out to you as someone where the Bills really need to figure out a new deal?
Yeah, I think Curtis Samuel probably
sure
pretty quickly falls off here for cap purposes. There's some conversations to be had about, if you want to get some bigger names in here, Deion Dawkins and Ed Oliver, both who have two years left. Obviously important players. They're getting to that age where, that next contract might look a little complicated when you're talking about 2027 and beyond. So some decent conversations to have there about some high prices. What happens with Tyler Bass? I feel like we haven't seen him forever, obviously, with the injury. Will that be a cap replacement that they're going to seek in March and April here, or maybe even in the draft to free up some space here in March? And then, then you get back to your big contracts that you can just move some things around, like Josh's contract. And I think Taron Johnson looks pretty stable after some conversations that have been had. But I wouldn't say there's a plentiful amount of options with the current roster to just sort of maneuver as some of these teams have, upwards of 90 to 100 million of flexibility.
A lot of attention on the interior of the Buffalo offensive line. Osiris Torrance could get an extension after completing now 3 years in the league. He's got one rookie deal, but the two guys to his left, the center McGovern and the left guard David Edwards, are both unrestricted free agents. Do you have an idea, Mike, where their markets may lie, and how realistic is it for the Bills to maybe hope to hang on to one of the two?
Yeah, one is probably right. If there's a pecking order, I think maybe you're sliding with Edwards back at the guard position. There's less of a guard demand out there right now. There's also less supply out there right now. So, we've got him upwards of 20 million just on a market valuation right now, which seems crazy, but that guard price is going to be upwards of 30 sooner rather than later, possibly even this year with some of the rookie extensions that hit. So he's, second-tier guard. He's been super, super consistent on this team. That's probably the player we're identifying right now, only because the center market has all of a sudden become kind of nice, kind of flush on this with free agency. There's been 2 or 3 really nice releases, but McGovern probably still sits near the top of that list. 16 to 17 million, that's right below the top of the hill right now at the center position. So he's looking at a pretty nice situation for himself, though the market did get a little bit deeper over the course of the last 48 hours.
Mike, so in terms of the league and who's available by position this year in free agency, do you have thoughts on where the strength is? I mean, certain of these players are household names, but not that many. And if you're the Bills and you're thinking about wide receiver, if they ever are, but if they actually were this year thinking about wide receiver, I don't know, how much is there for them to play with?
Yeah, there's a reason guys get the free agency, right? So when you're looking for big names, you're probably not going to see too many. It's a weak market. That's why you're hearing the players like Alec Pierce and Juwan Jennings and, even Tyreek Hill after being released with his injury. He's going to be one of those names that teams at least take a sniff at. Mike Evans, Romeo Dobbs. There's some names, there's some red flags with every single one of those names. So that's why I think for the most part, these players have had their market value suppressed quite a bit in the open market here, because most teams just decide we're going back to the draft. We're going to use a second or third round pick and take a flyer in that regard. Positionally, though, to answer your kind of broader question, I do think it's a pretty good draft for the free agency for the defensive line, and it isn't a very strong draft in that regard. So there are edge rushers, there are inside players, there are off-ball linebackers. I think those are a couple of needs here for Buffalo, at least from a depth perspective. And there are safeties, and I know that's a big question mark with the Bills going forward as well. So I'd lean towards the defensive side of the ball, which probably isn't answering too many of your phone calls right now with wide receivers and maybe some tight ends to fill in the blanks. But that's what the draft is for. I think the draft is showing it's been much more offensive friendly at times. So I do think there's a nice split where you can do most of your defensive damage in March and then wait till April, May to kind of fill in the blanks elsewhere.
There is still the trade market when you talk about receiver too.
Yeah.
If the free agent market isn't deep, certainly the draft is an option. On the trade front, Mike, maybe for us and for our audience, because we know the Bills, this whole conversation is predicated on the Bills being tight against the cap, which a lot of contending teams are. If they wanted to get in the business of trading for, say, A.J. Brown, who's got a big contract already that you'd be inheriting, how can they work around that? Is there a new deal as soon as the player gets here that lowers this year's number, that makes it more palatable for the Bills in the short term, and like some version of what we said at the beginning, just kicking the can down the road? Like, is that a way that you could see them pulling that caliber of player in with that caliber of contract, or are they just not going to be able to be in that market at all?
Well, what's interesting is because of the use of all these void years on most of these recent contracts, the traded contract, the contract you'd be acquiring with a trade has become unbelievably friendly, because for the most part, everything's being pushed down the first 1, 2, 3 years of that contract. So I think I jumped on with you guys at the deadline last year when we were discussing Waddle. Waddle as a trade right now is less than $5 million on the cap for 2026, right?
Wow,
A.J. Brown is $7 million on the cap in 2026 because of the way this thing is structured. So it's unbelievably doable from that perspective. There's just a lot more that comes to it, right, with compensation and how much those teams effectively have to keep in dead cap, which makes things complicated on their end. But the trade is becoming more and more prevalent because of this explanation, this part of it. It's easier from a financial standpoint just to drop somebody in, and then you have to deal with everything else going forward, obviously.
Well, that's fun. That's, you can be hopeful.
Right.
But,
I like
trades are fun.
I like all that sound. I like how all that sounded. Yeah.
If you know, Mike, Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa, are they different in that respect? Two players that maybe their teams want to move on from.
Contractually, I'm guessing you're asking contractually, because I don't think Tua is, from a football standpoint, very tradable. I do think Kyler Murray is probably one of the bigger trade candidates on the market right now, but contractually both can be moved. It's certainly more cost-effective for Miami to trade than to release Tua this year. I do think one of those things will happen, however. Kyler's a little bit easier. It's about a 2-year, $80 million contract, which sounds crazy, but, in the going rate of starting quarterbacks, that's pretty average right now. And with Tua, it's about a 1 for $57 million, which that's pretty bonkers. But from the other team's perspective, from Arizona and Miami's perspective, that is how they're entering March right now, is with the expectation that they're going to seek trades for both those players. And I do think Kyler gets done at some point in time here.
I love that the gap from your website, the NFL team salary cap tracker, between first and 32nd in cap space is $148 million. Tennessee has $90 million in cap space, and Dallas is $58 million under. That's a pretty big gap.
Not quite as egregious as baseball yet, but we're getting there, aren't we?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Dallas is $58 million over. That's right.
Right.
So, when you said up front, like the Bills are kind of in the middle when it comes to this. Minus $8 million might look worse than that, but it does get worse than that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Dallas just slapped that tag on George Pickens, which added $28 million to their business, and they've got plenty of work to do. But to kind of answer it this way, I don't see any team having crazy trouble this year, where we've had, the Saints in the negative hundreds at times and a couple other teams pretty far down the path. So I think we're all kind of figuring this out. And to circle back, the league is certainly helping with these massive cap increases.
Yeah, and teams have found their appetite to be able to digest the big dead money ever since, I think, really, you might know better than me, Mike, but it feels like once Denver did Russell Wilson, and that was like $80 million or something. And I don't remember if they split it up with a June 1st or whatever, but they just like, okay, we're doing this. And it seems like that's why, like, in a year like this, I'm like, of course Miami's going to move on from Tua. I don't care how much the dead money is. Denver did it. They're going to do it. And teams just aren't that scared of doing it anymore. They can still do business with a big dead money number.
It's a really important point, and you're dead on here. I'd go back maybe 2 more years before Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was definitely the balloon bursting with this whole conversation, but the Rams actually won a Super Bowl with the second most dead cap in football. That first year that they acquired Stafford and they traded Goff and they released Todd Gurley and they had a whole bunch of mess on their hands, and it seemed like they were sort of just kind of giving up, and then they acquired Stafford and won the Super Bowl. That was definitely an eye-opening moment for the league that, hey, maybe there's enough to go around even on the negative side of things, that we don't have to just push it all into these positive contracts. And then obviously void years have helped the process even further that. So no question, like I said, my expectation is that Miami will take on $99 million for Tua to move on from him over 2 years. And that's kind of the going rate with a bunch of players. I think that will become much more prevalent because bigger contracts mean bigger mistakes, mean you have to kind of, wipe up the mess a little cleaner here.
I'm sorry if this is an embarrassing question to ask, but how does a void year work? Is it like a team or a player option? Like, does anybody have a leg to stand on to say, hey, I want you to honor this, or the team might want, or is it just designed to just eat cap space at the back end of deals, and there's no way the team or the player can ever use it as an actual year of a contract?
Right. They're written into the contract as actual void years. Many times they will have a dummy salary. Usually it's ridiculous, like $50 million, $100 million. The Saints with Taysom Hill used to put in $130 million dummy salaries, I think, just to have some fun with it. But really it is just a salary cap moniker. It is a situation where the cap is allowed to, with bonuses, transfer over 5 years. And back in the day, 8 years ago, that used to mean you'd have 5-year contracts so that you could spread it out to the maximum. Well, nobody wanted 5-year contracts anymore because things were changing so rapidly, so quickly. So now we can have 2-year contracts with 3 void years to still have the same effect from a cap perspective and get players back to free agency or into that next contract even quicker.
Who has the worst contract in the NFL? So Tua and Murray are not in, their teams are not in great positions having them for what they have them. Deshaun Watson comes to mind, or certainly would have a year or two ago. I'm not sure if that's the case. Maybe they can wiggle away from him if injuries are too much. I don't know how that exactly will work. But does anybody strike you as the easy answer to that question?
It's absolutely Watson.
Okay.
And I think it will be for quite some time, because it is the singular thing stopping somebody else from getting a full guaranteed contract, and I don't think we have that in our future very soon here. And it's for this reason. It's guaranteed obviously right now, so $46 million cash guaranteed. And then once they're finally done and moved on from this thing after next year, they're going to have to take on $80 million of dead cap just to have this guy, probably not play football anymore at 32 years old. So it's because they have kicked the can every single year of this guaranteed salary. So it is a situation that feels like it's coming to an end, and yet for Cleveland, there's probably 3 more seasons. It's this year, it's 2 years of dead cap, and then they can sort of take a deep breath. I don't know how this GM is lasting through this, but God bless him, I guess.
Wow. Do you think? I mean, this is not really your area of expertise. Like, there was a vibe toward the end of the season, like he was practicing, and like every week, Kevin Stefanski, their coach at the time, would have to fend off questions about whether, are you going to activate him? Is he in the plans? Like, do you think that just goes on unabated, or do you think he ever suits up for them?
I think there's a real good chance he's the week 1 starter. Not for any of the contractual reasons. I just think it's going to be a really ugly offseason for Cleveland for a lot of reasons. They're about to lose all 5 of their starting offensive linemen. That's not a good way to start things off here. So from the trenches perspective, it's going to be young. It's going to be inexperienced. Do you really want to throw Shedeur Sanders into that fire? I don't know. That might be how it works out, but my guess is you're just going to throw the veteran that you're paying a ton of money to and say, go do a job for us for one more year, and then we're going to get things right in 2027. But I do think it makes sense to at least have him compete if he's healthy in 2026.
A couple more, if we can here, Mike, and one is specifically a Bills player question, and that's Dalton Kincaid, who the question now is on the table is, will the Bills pay him the fifth-year option he's entitled by being, if they choose to, a first-round pick? He's been good when he's played, but he hasn't played that much. I wonder what your perspective might be on that, either from simply the standpoint of a thought on the player and the idea, or including sort of what that means for a tight end. We have interesting kind of wrinkles when it comes to slotting players by position. Linderbaum in Baltimore being a center, but the franchise tag would count him as an offensive lineman, which changes the numbers. I'm getting a little bit convoluted here with this, but what about Kincaid for you?
Yeah, I just ran the number since the cap just dropped this afternoon. You mentioned him not playing much. That actually helps Buffalo a little bit in this regard, because playing time and Pro Bowls factor into what that fifth-year option price costs. So based on our numbers here, the fifth-year option for 2027 should cost about $8.1 million for Dalton Kincaid. Right. Because of that price, to me, it's a slam dunk. You're going to keep him through 2027. You're going to guarantee it. It's basically 2 years and $15 million or not even 2 years and $12 million for a player that still I think has a really nice ceiling in this system. Obviously, there's some continuity with Joe Brady coming over here. And you'll figure out the rest going forward. But I don't think we're talking extension by any means right now. But an $8 million guarantee for a player like that, I think, is a slam dunk.
Is there a take here that's interesting on tight ends and franchise tags? That's not the situation with Kincaid. But the point about Linderbaum seems a little wrong that he would count like offensive tackles do. And I think that's what maybe priced Baltimore out on one of the best centers in the league.
Yeah, it would have been $26 million to tag Linderbaum, so that's obviously too high for him. There's another one with linebackers. So you've got your off-ball linebacker that's around $20 million a year, and then you've got your Micah Parsons, who's $46 million a year. Those players as singular linebackers with franchise tags are under one umbrella. That's going to have to change at some point in time. But tight ends have been kind of priced right. They sit separate from wide receivers, so they've been at about. I think it's about 15.2 for Kyle Pitts on his franchise tag this year with Atlanta. So I expect that remains fairly favorable if we have to get to that situation with Dalton Kincaid in 2028. But that one seems pretty decent. There are some gaps in the cracks, though, that have to at least get discussed in the next CBA.
Do you know if you get credit for a Pro Bowl just by eventually making like Joe Flacco this year, or do you have to be like the from the original players that are chosen for the Pro Bowl?
It's original ballot. So it's playing time throughout the regular season and then original ballot Pro Bowls in your first 3 years as a rookie. Yep.
So not everybody who gets added as a fill-in gets credit for it in the same way. That's probably good.
I feel like that's not noted enough. I think people get too much credit for those just to show up when you're the fifth option.
Yeah, and if I'm named but I don't go, even if I don't really have a good reason, it still counts.
I still get the benefit of that at fifth-year option time. Right.
Yeah.
Or any bonuses.
Right.
Okay. All right. Anything, Bulldog, that we didn't cover?
I feel good.
Always great to learn all this from you, Mike. Thanks for sharing your time with us.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks.
You're welcome. Mike Janiti of SpotTrack, the go-to salary cap, salary information site, I think, in the industry for all sports.
You mentioned Linderbaum there in our conversation, and I don't know if you saw this. It didn't come up in here, although we've been apart the last 2 days. I saw some stuff from the Ravens earlier this week that indicated like they're willing to make that. I'm not sure that it's a foregone conclusion he'll get to market, even though they're not going to put the franchise tag on him. I saw, is it DaCosta, the GM there? Market setting contract. We're open to that. We know how good this player is. That's how he was talking, I think, at the combine.
Right. Yeah, so, good. I don't know different.
So maybe they'll get something done there and he won't go to market. That could probably hurt the Bills because McGovern will be that much more sought after if a guy like Linderbaum doesn't get out there.
He was our free agent idea of the day earlier this week.
Right.
But, in jest.
Right.
Mostly,
right.
Not really thinking the Bills would.
The Bills aren't going to afford their guy. They're not going to afford that guy.
Probably not. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here at 803-0550. We'll be right back after the update. Your calls are welcome. This is WGR.
We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day alright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
Sabres game night tonight, and they are down in Florida to take on the Panthers. Pregame at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop, both, of course, right here on WGR. Zach Benson was on the ice for morning skate today, and while he was not ruled out for tonight, head coach Lindy Ruff said the more likely option is Benson will make his return tomorrow versus Tampa. In net tonight, all signs are pointing to Alex Lyon getting the start. And then around the rest of the NHL, it's just 3 other games tonight. Also at 7, the Capitals play host to Las Vegas. At 9, the Wild are in Utah versus the Mammoth. And then at 10, the Ducks, they host the Winnipeg Jets. And then the Rochester Americans, they're also in action tonight. They host Laval. That game will get going also just after 7. To the Bills, another re-signing has been announced. It is safety Sam Franklin, a 3-year deal worth up to $7.5 million. We'll get more on the Bills. Sal Capacio going to join the show in just about a half hour at 5. And the NFL has announced the 2026 salary cap. It is $301.2 million. That is a $22 million jump from last year. And then game night tonight here locally, the Bandits, they host the Rush just after 7:30. You can listen to tonight's game over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's certainly more cost-effective for Miami to trade than to release Tua this year. Collar's a little bit easier. It's about a 2-year, $80 million contract, which sounds crazy, but, in the going rate of starting quarterbacks, that's pretty average right now. And with Tua, it's about a 1 for $57 million, which that's pretty bonkers. But from the other team's perspective, from Arizona and Miami's perspective, that is how they're entering March right now, is with the expectation that they're going to seek trades for both those players. And I do think Collar gets done at some point in time here.
Mike Janiti of Spot Track just on with us. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, 803-0550. Sunny and fairly warm today. Just got a text from home that reads, someone is very excited to be out for a walk.
Oh.
And I bet that's my wife, too.
Right, for sure.
Today's a great day.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. If we get enough melt, I can take Fred to the golf course tomorrow morning. He loves to run around unleashed at the golf course. He's
now,
so great.
Are we sure that that's appropriate?
100%. What do you mean?
Dogs off leash at a golf course?
Well, no one's playing golf.
Other people are there.
Other people are there with dogs, also unleashed.
Really?
Yes.
That's where you go for this?
There's a whole community of people there that are there. And I have been very careful to I've not rolled up with Fred off his leash and been like, hi, this is Fred. Because I don't know for sure how that'd go. I think it would be fine, but you never know, right? So I'm always on guard when someone is approaching with a dog off a leash, because I had one very unpleasant experience many years ago that, you just don't know. But yeah, I clean up after him. I'm never so far away that if he does some business on the 5th fairway, I'm not going to clean it up.
I wouldn't question you on that.
So that's not an issue. And out of season, I started doing this in the fall, late in the year, and there were people there, but I would see where I could go and what was open and what was not, from a golfing standpoint. And I hadn't even thought about that. I'm glad you planted the seed with me. But yeah, he has become, I've never had a dog like this before. We had these giant mastiffs that were and they were extremely aggressive around other dogs. These were not animals you wanted to take anywhere off of a leash. You didn't even want to have them leashed in places where there were other dogs, because they were 180 pounds of muscle, I want to go. Anyway, very unpleasant. Fred is the opposite. Fred just is
he's 180 pounds of fun.
He is 32 pounds of fun. And he listens. He's very attentive. I didn't think he would ever be like this, but he goes running around, and if I just clap or snap my fingers, he stops and comes right back to me.
Well, that's what, as someone else at the park, hypothetically, I might be, I would want to expect. I would need that.
Right.
But you just don't know if everybody and their dog is that,
that's right,
connected. Every dog is that well trained.
Which is why I have not met the other unleashed dog people. They looked. from afar. Like I've seen them from 200 yards away, and it's as many as a half a dozen people, and maybe more dogs than that. Even some people have 2 dogs, and it just looks like they're there meeting for coffee on Saturday mornings. Like this is their thing, and I don't want to just go barreling in there like, "Hey, I'm Chris Parker. This is Fred," and assume that everyone's going to get along. So I just keep my distance.
Mm-hmm. It's 200 yards because you have your little greens tool out and can measure since you're on a golf course.
I know. I know. Where
you know distances.
I can walk. I can walk in that Colvin entrance right by the Bison pen, and that is hole 5 right there. And from there, if I see people out there, I can. They're about 250 out.
Yes, there's the little blue disc in the fairway.
That's where I hit my ball, and I can estimate how far away I am from them.
How far away is Fred? He's about 110.
Right. He's about a full.
Let me pace it off.
He's a full gap wedge away now. Is what he is.
Let me pace that off. Well, I'm jealous of those of you outside right now. It looks like a great day to be out. I am thinking also about people who have not seen the end of the Traitors, which ended last night. Where are we at as a society on spoilers? Like with the Olympics, I don't think anybody ever flinched at announcing scores. Right. And, even though a lot of people can't watch the big events during the day because they're working and would like to maybe be in suspense at night. So I didn't get any complaints on that front this year.
Me either.
But, I used to when it came to that. And so the Traitors ended last night, and I have a big question about the finale.
But you're not sure you can ask it
yet? I think it's probably too early.
Yeah.
It's less than 24 hours.
Yeah,
but when is it okay? Like, I'll tell you about what I thought about the end of Back to the Future, if you want. Right. The movie's 40 years old.
Right. I could go long on the end of Homeland. I finished up all 8 seasons of that. And
how did you make it to the end of Homeland? It stayed interesting.
I thought it was very credible the whole time. It never the last season there were a couple of things that I just thought because I'm that guy. I'm like if there's a plot twist hanging that isn't answered, that doesn't make sense, that's going to ruin a show, I'll stop watching a show 5 episodes in if that happens. Like, all right, I'm out. I'm not going to put up with this. There's too much other stuff out there. This never did that. And I got to tell you, the payoff, the ending, it might be my favorite ending ever of a TV show I've watched.
How long has it been off? 10 years?
I think it started on the air in, I saw the date 2019 often. So I think.
That's when it ended.
Right. I don't know.
Okay.
So, yeah. I don't know when it's, 8 seasons. So it started,
So it's been done for 7 years-ish?
I think so, yeah.
Is that long enough?
It should be.
It should be.
If you
talked about the end of Homeland, you shouldn't get in trouble.
But I'm not going to say what happened other than it was, to me, for the way what I liked about the show, it was a perfect ending.
Okay.
There was no cop out. It was just really, really good.
I wonder if my wife made it to the end.
And not only that, I did not at all see it. I didn't see it coming. I didn't think, I bet I know how they're gonna wrap this up. I probably could have. Maybe, other people would have a very different experience with that and think it was very predictable. But I really liked it a lot. Anyway, so spoilers. I don't know. Yeah, this Traitors, I wasn't familiar with it till you started talking about it. And even then, I still really didn't know what it was. But I saw a bunch of trailers for Traitors during the Olympics.
Trailers.
Because it's a Peacock joint. So that said, people probably started watching it during the Olympics off of all those promos, and I don't think you can say it on the radio right now.
I don't have any plans to,
okay.
But I want to find somebody who watched it, who followed the whole season, and ask my question of. I want to know if someone else thinks.
Yeah.
I brought it to my wife, who does not watch the show, and asked her this question about a couple of the contestants, and she thought it was interesting, but didn't really have an answer.
Right.
Now I'm stuck, right? Because I can't ask the question. I can't even tell you who it's about.
And you can't,
because that gives it away a little bit.
You can't have that conversation on social media.
No, especially
I guess you could ask
safer here.
Open your DMs or something and anybody watch Traitors? I have a question. Hit me up. You could do that if you wanted to, I suppose. That's really the only avenue you've got, I think.
Yeah, I will have to know the person in the conversation has watched the whole thing. And then I would, of course, feel safe. But without that, I can't even. I want to know, though.
Yeah, right.
Last night, my wife and I watched the grand finale of Downton Abbey.
Okay.
We watched Downton Abbey when it was on. She likes it. She found a great pull of an actor, too. I was running hot during Severance. Robbie Benson, Sandra Bernhard, the woman whose name I didn't know, but I recognized her from All the President's Men, which was like 40 or 50 years earlier. I was just on a roll with Severance actors. She got one last night from the Downton Abbey show that was like, that was really exciting. That's a great job. An actor who was in a show called The Affair. And she's like, that's that guy. I'm like, wow. You know, that's a great skill.
There was one of those guys in Homeland who had been in The Americans, which is a spy Russia, thriller from the 80s. Well, it's placed in the 80s. It was made in the, 2000s. And this guy showed up. I'm like, oh, this guy. I love this guy.
I love when that
I
happens.
still don't know his name. I did not ever check his name on either show. I don't know it.
The woman from Homeland who I didn't name there is named Jane Alexander. By the way, she's in All the President's Men, like one scene, and then she's in Severance. But then the Traitors last night after the Downton Abbey movie. Oh my God, I was just vegging.
I'm just happy.
And then Australia Traitors.
I'm just happy you're saying the name of that show because I've seen that show. I've never known how to say that because it looks you want it to be downtown.
It's not,
but it's not, and I just have never really known how to say it, so I don't watch it.
Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
And last night, I learned that the main actor on that show, Hugh Bonneville, was married for like 25 years to a woman you and I have seen in concert. There's only one woman you and I have been to a concert together to see. Well, I'm not counting Brandi Carlile.
Okay, that's my.
He was not married for 25 years to Brandi Carlile.
I went to Brandi Carlile, but no, we also have seen Lucinda Williams together.
He was married to Lucinda Williams.
That's
this British actor.
That's incredible.
Like for a long time.
I love her so much. She's just awesome.
That blew my mind last night.
Yeah, wow, that is.
I'm looking
cool.
up him to see what else I know him from. Notting Hill. He's in Notting Hill. A few other movies.
Being married to Lucinda Williams is super cool.
Yes,
it is really
super cool.
It is really good. She's she's just so talented.
So this is all safe.
Is so cool.
There's no spoilers when it comes to these people were married.
Right.
That's something you just have to know. We're not going to wait for you to look that up. We're not going to wait for you to look up who was married to Lucinda Williams. We're just going to tell you. Sal Capacio coming up at 5. The Sabres are in Florida. We'll get back to hockey here as we go toward pregame. That starts at 6 with Paul. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. This is WGR. I'm so sorry. Correction.
Not the singer Lucinda Williams
I know this guy Jeff. He must be right.
The alt country goddess that is Lucinda Williams.
Well, that just seems so incredible.
Yeah.
That this British actor would be married to a country singer. It's not her.
Well, that's what this person.
He would be right.
You're saying you trust this? Okay, yeah.
Like I didn't look deeply into it.
Right.
I just went to his page
and
said Lucinda Williams. Like,
right.
Of course, there could be more. There would be more than one.
Yeah.
That's a bad job by me. I was just so excited.
That's too bad.
I was so excited by the news that I just ran with it. All right, thank you, Jeff. Apologies. If you know someone who's running around thinking that Hugh Bonneville and the singer Lucinda Williams were once married, please find them.
Right. They
tell them my deepest apologies.
They heard us talking about it, turned the radio off, and now are going to march through the rest of their lives, however much longer they live, thinking that at one time this actor was married to that singer. That's tough.
That is tough.
Hopefully we caught you. I don't know. It's tough.
I hate when we get
I'm
one
over
wrong.
here like, how long were they married? I'm imagining how it ended because like she just seems to me like the sort of person he'd be like, I'm not feeling fulfilled, and she'd just like put a cigarette out with her boot and be like, okay, see ya. that's how she seems to me. But I mean, it's not even her. So it's not even her. I could just stop with that.
Oh boy. That's a blow right there.
What's your problem there, kid?
Not only was I excited to think this, but then I went and said it on the air and told you about it.
Yeah.
Everything like this. The Briar starts today.
Oh, good. Curling.
Where
have you been curling?
Listen, people were into it. It was on all the time, yes. So you really had a tough time avoiding it, maybe. But if you want to see more, and no, I can't go that far. Other years, maybe I would. I was thinking, is this event that starts tonight in Newfoundland and Labrador, the Men's Canadian National Championships, a better field than the Olympics? Because sometimes I think it would be. I don't think it is. This year, I don't think it is.
Okay.
And the Olympics, I mean, it was pretty good. U.S. pushed. Italy didn't even make it, and those guys have won a lot of tournaments. Sweden didn't make it. I mean, they've won gold. So it was pretty deep. I can't go that far. And the Canadians, men and women, are in a bit of a transition moment where a lot of the winners in recent years are retiring or have retired or have broken up. There's just a lot of change afoot.
Well, there's opportunity
curling.
Then. Yeah.
And so you have some young teams. One who plays out of the Falls is on Team Ontario. They have a young skip. So like a few of these, it's provincial, and a few of the teams are new, just like it was for women. But you get Jacobs won gold in Cortino, and his team is there.
All right.
Gushu is the legend.
Will this be on Peacock?
This is not on Peacock. It'll be on. Okay. Hopefully they stream it. You never know. But TSN has been streaming the Briar and the Scotties, the women's event, internationally. So fingers are crossed. Brad Gushu is like maybe the all-time best, one of the all-time best, and he's from St. John's, where the tournament is being held, is retiring after this event.
Oh, he's got to go out on top then.
He'll want to, needless to say.
Well, I'm rooting for him.
Are you? You're rooting for Gushu?
I don't.
I think I am too.
Yeah.
I like Botcher a lot, and Botcher's on his team now. That hasn't really worked out. But, yeah, that'd be a great story.
Botcher.
Brendan Botcher.
Okay.
No, what's the problem? He was married to Lucinda Williams.
No, I just Bodger. I just want
Botcher.
I wanted clarification.
2 T's.
Yeah, gotcha. All right. 1 T. Gotcha.
And you can watch for Matt Dunstone, who looks like Sneaky Joe.
Oh, well, if anything's going to get me to the TV / streamer on my iPad, it's going to be a curler that looks like Sneaky Joe.
When people tell you that they think you look like someone, usually one's response, I think, is, no, I don't. I don't see that at all, when it's about you.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe
confirmed.
Agreed.
Yeah.
He confirmed. He thinks he does look like Dunstone.
I can see it. All right, good. Well, good to know. All right.
When you're done with the Sabres. No, it'll be over. Yeah. They're an hour and a half ahead in Newfoundland. Wow. So I think it starts 7:30 there, so 6 here. If you want more curling,
I mean, there
you go.
Yep.
With the great Vic Router.
been wondering when it was going to show back up.
As long as we get the feed. This would be a nightmare for me after that other disaster from the last segment.
with the
to now
marriage
offer
mistake.
curling and have it not be available.
Right.
Sal Capacio next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldogs, Sabres and Panthers tonight here on WGR.
Sabres game night, and they are down in Florida to take on the Panthers. Pre-game coming up in an hour at 6, a 7 p.m. puck drop. Zach Benson was on the ice for morning skate today, and while he has not officially been ruled out, head coach Lindy Ruff did say it is more likely that Benson is going to be making his return tomorrow when they take on Tampa. And then in net tonight, all signs are pointing to Alex Lyon getting the start. Across the rest of the NHL, just 3 of their games tonight. Also at 7, the Capitals play host to Las Vegas. At 9, the Wild, they're in Utah versus the Mammoth. Then at 10, the Ducks, they host the Winnipeg Jets. Then over in the AHL, Rochester, also in action tonight. They host Laval. That will get going just after 7. To the Bills, they announced another re-signing. Safety Sam Franklin, a 3-year deal worth up to $7.5 million. We'll get more on the Bills. Sal Capacio joins the show next. Do stay tuned for that. And we do have the official 2026 salary cap number. It is $301.2 million, which is a $22 million jump up from last year. And then game night here locally, Bandits, they host the Rush just after 7:30. And you can listen to tonight's game over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Sal Capacio. 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 On WGR.
Listen to this. I've got to get...
It's Sal Capacio.
I'm like a special Capacio.
I'd love to have Sal in on this, too, real quick. Joe texts me to say that tomorrow night he's getting together with friends from a fantasy league, and then they're going curling. Great. And this league has been in existence. Hi, Sal. Sorry to leave you sitting there. This league has been around, he says, for 17 years. And what they're doing tomorrow night is voting on rules proposals. How many? How many rules proposals does Joe say they're voting on in his fantasy league tomorrow? What's a lot? What's a lot?
10.
Sal?
Well, a lot would be maybe 5 or 6, I think.
41. I would need the entire weekend to think of 41 possible fantasy football rules changes.
I want to say something, and I want it to be taken like I mean well, but I think I have to leave the show and go to Joe's house and punch him in his face.
I thought you were going there, and I still laughed.
What?
I still laughed.
What?
I knew that's where you were going.
41?
I mean,
on a Saturday night?
I'm not even sure it's right to blame
Sabres
Joe.
are playing? Like, what are we doing?
I'm not even sure it's fair to blame Joe. It might not even be his
Sal,
league.
41 rule changes?
What's one?
They won't
Superflex.
even have time to do the curling, I don't think.
That's right.
I'm really not sure, to be honest with you.
That's right. They're going to spend the whole night voting on rules. How do you
I mean, at that point, people are just proposing things to propose them that they're obviously got to be silly, right? I want to see this list now. There's got to be things in there that are just absolutely ridiculous.
I don't ever want to see this list. I don't want to see this list. I don't want to be friends with these people. Sorry, Joe. No. I don't want to hear about 41 things from people I love, let alone people I'm in a fantasy league with. Like, what are we doing here?
College player eligibility. Rights to college players are eligible to be drafted, but must be kept as one of 2 keepers the following offseason to maintain rights. College player will not count toward roster size. Dynasty champion. The champion is allowed to retain his entire roster for the following season and forego the draft. Here, those are a couple. I mean, they're both kind of clever and interesting, but holy cow, 41. Amazing. Sal, how was Indy? What was the best part?
Hanging out with colleagues. I like that always. I always like to catch up with people that I see them throughout the year a lot, but then we don't see each other for several weeks, and then sometimes it's in a different, setting mostly. So that's the best part for me always, which is kind of just hanging out. It's not just going out and having a steak dinner. It's catching up with people, conversation, catching up with people's lives. I have friends that we've been doing this now for long enough. I've watched their kids grow. They watched my son grow, and getting married and things like that. And that's the coolest part for me. I'm just a relationship guy. I like to build those relationships and like to kind of catch up with people both on a personal and professional level.
How would you say the group. I don't need you to speak for anyone, and I haven't even really asked you this. So, I mean, I'm asking you as well, but also asking you to sort of get just a feel for how everyone is feeling about the Bills right now. We talked to Sam Panayotovich at 3:30 today and started talking about teams that might be like overvalued? I think, like getting too much credit. And I asked him about the Bills for that. New coaching staff, a lot of holes on the roster. Like, I just wonder, is everyone that covers the team mostly thinking Josh Allen's their quarterback and they'll win 12 games? Or are people maybe a little shook? And same for you.
I think most people on the Bills beat, who do the different kinds of things, of course, doesn't have to be exactly like a beat reporter, that I speak to are more in the first category, the former, which is they have Josh Allen, they'll be fine.
They'll figure it out. Somebody will play left guard.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I do think there's a big sense of just intrigue and wonderment, though, by all of us of, well, what's it really look like though on defense? Can they actually kind of do this in 1 year kind of thing with the defense? And that might take a little while, but they don't have a little while, right?
Right.
I also think, and I am one that says this, and I think this is a cool thing to think about over the next couple of months specifically, which is, I think there's pressure that Brandon Beane feels, internal pressure on himself to make sure that they give Joe Brady everything in the world to try and win a Super Bowl, right? Because you don't make the move it just goes back to the year one conversation, right? I don't think anybody, I know Joe Brady said year one. I'm telling you, like, nobody thinks, they're not trying to temper expectations. The expectation for this team is still to win a Super Bowl. That's the goal. That's the standard. That's what they want to do because they haven't done that yet. And I think because of the way everything went down, there's even more pressure, if you want to call it that, on Brandon Beane to say, I'm going to show you that we can do this, and we're going to have this first-year coach, and we moved on. And therefore, I think he gets more aggressive this year than maybe people thought he would be previously.
Yeah, I have thought that. I've tried to say that all along here, and specifically about receiver, because of the spectacle that, in part, he was responsible for making the position into in the past off season, and then of course throughout the entire season. And so, in a way, I sort of feel like that could maybe work in their favor. Like if Beane wants to prove that I deserve my promotion. I mean, not exactly. It's a sloppy way to put it, but you know what I mean. Like if he's feeling this heat and wants to validate Brady and not have it be like a tread water year, but like we're actually going to be better than we've been. Here's how. Then I think maybe there is a more aggressive, don't worry about trading a one or whatever it takes, right, to get the right guy so that they can all, look how smart we were. We did this and it worked.
Yeah, and even Beane has mentioned many times, he said it again this week, that sometimes I have to have somebody tell me no around me. Because he said one of his, maybe faults is being too aggressive or, he didn't say reckless, but, to not get too reckless, not get reckless and do something. But I do think this year might be a time. Look, I mean, guys, there's a different way of doing things now where the structure is different. There's a vertical structure, if you want to call it that, which is Beane as the general manager and president of football operations. Joe Brady's going to report to him. Like, Brandon Beane's basically calling the shots now, I guess, and the best way to put it. It's not, Sean McDermott doesn't want to do this, so I'm not going to do this. Or Sean McDermott or another coach wants me to draft Keon Coleman, so I'm going to draft Keon Coleman. That's kind of, he's going to collaborate with Joe Brady, of course. Like, it's not like you're just going to do what I say. That's not the kind of thing. But I do think, to me, it feels like he might be more empowered to make these moves if he feels like he should make these moves and say, like, I just know what the right course is here, and I'm going to go out and do that. And I just think that lends to him being maybe more of his personality of aggressiveness.
Yeah, that was an interesting soundbite the other day when Beane was talking about that. I wondered, what actually happened in these instances you're describing? Like, people tried to talk you out of an idea. Were they successful? Like, what almost happened? I'd love to know just like one example of what could have happened or anything. I always want to know that stuff. With Sal Capacio, so a little bit of a different question on the trip. Like, what did you learn this week there, either from Beane or Brady or someone else?
You mean, do you want about the Bills or
the draft, the plans, anything like that? Yeah, what the plans are.
Yeah, I think that I think I learned from listening to Brady and Bean that, they're gone are maybe the kind of archetypes they want on defense necessarily, right? We talked about this the other day, which is like, I think anything goes on defense right now. They're going to try to find guys, and I know that this is a little cliche, like just find me football players. Well, but look at the guys they've drafted or have gone signed. You have these long, the AJ Epinesa, Greg Rousseau. Like I'm thinking of edge rushers specifically, right? Something like that. Even maybe a corner, like certain kinds of guys that they want, certain kind of traits that they want. I think gone is. I think you're looking at, hey, can this guy play football? Like, can he go and tackle the quarterback? Can he play in space? I don't think you're looking as much at some of the measurements and things like that matter. Sure, you're going to still count those things and say, okay, he's a freak athlete. You want that guy. I'm looking at this. You guys see the Ohio State linebacker today, 43.5 vertical, right? And he like set a record. He's the first guy to ever jump that much for a player weighing over 240 pounds. Imagine that, right? 43.5 vertical, 240 pounds plus. So, there are going to be freak athletes, and that's going to jump out off the page. But I think I learned by listening to them that, like, there's no one thing that they're kind of looking at. And I'm not saying it was always like that, but I think anything kind of goes this draft and this free agency, which makes it really intriguing.
Sonny Styles is the player who broke the mold today.
Yeah. Right. Yesterday was short-armed edge rusher day, I felt like.
Yes.
At the Combine. I was not in here working, but I just, Twitter was all about Ruben Bain's arm length and Cassius Howell's arm length, right? The two players, Bain is thought to be a very high pick. I'm not sure about Howell. Maybe edge of the first round or maybe better than that a little bit.
Bill's range, Chris Trapasso said.
Right. And so I wonder about the short arms. He also, I think, clocked like an incredibly fast speed around the edge. So, like, I don't know, Sal, like the measurables, we're going to take that out for a spin again, I think, this year with some of these edge guys.
Interesting you say that because so I had a chat with Brandon Kristoll. Brandon covers the Broncos. He has for a long time out in Denver. Really, really good media guy, and I've known him for years. So we caught up, and we talked about Jim Leonard. And one thing he brought up to me that I didn't think about a lot is he said, if you look across what Denver has, like one of the reasons he said, you look at like some of the guys they have. Benito, right, is one, and Alex Singleton, and these guys that they have, and Allen on that side of the ball. These aren't necessarily these freak athletes. They're not. He said, but you know what they have? They have a ball get-off trait, BGO, ball get-off. Mm-hmm. He said they really rely on these guys. Look at the numbers. Like, they get off the ball. And I'm like, okay, this is really interesting because I think that that's where you start to look now. It's not necessarily like the trait. What's the measurement? It's more of the, okay, is this guy getting off the ball real fast? Does he have that instinct, bam, to get going? And he said that's been a difference with the Broncos the last few years. So as you're talking about short arms, does that matter as much if you can get around the edge a little quicker, right? If you can beat your guy to a spot a little bit quicker. So I do think that, and then remember we talked about Javon Solomon, right? Javon Solomon's legs are tree trunks, but he's not a long dude, right? He's kind of he actually has like the same measurables as Jerry Hughes. And I remember that when he came out, I said, boy, he's really similar to Jerry Hughes. Jerry Hughes isn't Greg Rousseau. He's not AJ Epinesa with these long, he's not Manny Lawson, right? He has these long arms. So I wonder like about those guys. Like that's what you need to look at, maybe some of the ball get off and the timing of how they want to be twitchy and aggressive.
With Sal Capacio, Mike Schopp, and the Bulldog here on a nice Friday afternoon. Sabres and Panthers coming up tonight pregame at 6. Chris Trapasso yesterday talking about Bain and Howell and arm length. That was really interesting. Anybody wants to sort of dive deeper into what that can mean, can check that out from our show yesterday on the Odyssey app. Tight ends today. Never, ever, ever, right? Can I just ignore the tight ends for the Bills' purposes here, Sal?
Unless they release Knox, I think my answer would be absolutely yes. If they were to just end up releasing Knox, then I think they would be squarely in the market for a replacement.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I wonder how high they would want to go with that, though. But you're right, Bulldog. They probably could find another one. They found Jackson Hawes, in the middle rounds, and he is a blocking tight end we know who can catch. But would you want to look at more of a pass-catching tight end to be a little bit more of a Dalton Kincaid mode? Kaliki Latu is still on the roster, and he's kind of that guy, although it's really more of a, we'll use him if we need to because of injuries. But I agree. If they do move on from Dawson Knox, which is possible, then they'll probably be in the tight end market. But I wonder how aggressive they would want to be, knowing they do have Dalton Kincaid. You do wonder about the injury history, but we also know that they're going to pick up the 5th-year option on Dalton Kincaid. They're kind of all in on him in the next 2 years.
I would release Knox. When we talked about this last, I think you guys maybe felt different. Bulldog did, right? You would not do that.
Right.
We talked to Mike Janiti earlier, Sal, and he get into the cap numbers a little bit. And as you know, I mean, they're massive when it comes to Knox. So there would be some real savings there. And the Bills are going to have to find some way to, to those kind of numbers to save money.
Yeah, and I'm trying to break it down, in a way that, okay, first of all, the first thing I think is going to happen here is they're probably going to ask Dawson Knox, like, hey, are you open to a pay cut? I think you do that with a lot of guys in these situations. But you see, Brandon Beane kind of joked with us when he said, hey, I think whichever guy would take a pay cut to the minimum, but he also said, but the guys deserve respect, too. You don't want to, disrespect guys and have them go, wait, come on, are you kidding me? I'm not doing that. You want to work with you. I want to have honest conversations. So that's number one. Let's just say that doesn't work out. They can't get that done. You could extend him to, for another year because he's a free agent. After one more year, you say, let's add another year to your deal. Let's spread some money out so we don't have to worry about it. The thing that I keep going back to, though, is let's say you do move on. Okay, he's still going to count $7 million of dead cap. Yeah, you do save $9 million. I get it. And that's a massive number. You're right, Mike. You count $7 million for him not on the roster. If you do draft somebody, okay, you could go that route, but are you going to go replace him in free agency with a $4 or $5 million player, which isn't a lot? Well, you're already now eating back into that $9 million. Now, I do know the wash would still be savings, but honestly, at that point, like, how much of a savings truly is it versus doing something else with Dawson Knox? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think just as big maybe with him is what it tells you about the Bills' plans in terms of what their offense is going to look like. Knox is a big piece there, and it's, as we've talked about many times, I mean, this is a favorite point of mine. Shakir is fine. Kincaid is maybe even better than that. But there's only so much you can do with them, given the roles that they play, because, not that Kincaid would have to play with his hand down all the time now. You do some of that, though.
Right.
Because Knox is there, and they're running the ball, they're setting records in the run game. So that is what it is. Speaking of what Beane was saying in Indianapolis, there's a clip we had of him today. I'm not sure he said it today, but talking about positionless players, which is a point we've heard you make many times. The problem is the Bills didn't really do that. I mean, Shakir.
Right, we saw there's a point about Shakir specifically, and he's in the slot, right?
Yeah. So if you're dreaming about a more wide open offense, Knox can go. And I'm going to take my chances protecting Allen with other people. And, even if it's Jackson Hawes playing sort of a 25 catch a season kind of role, and I expand Kincaid this way. And I might even free Shakir up to do other things. I might even salvage Coleman by playing him in the slot, which is where some analysts thought he belonged the whole time.
Yeah, the receiver group is super interesting because, we talk about it all the time. We know they need more talent there, especially at the top end of the depth chart. But, I mean, you think about it. Here are the names right now. Here are the guys under contract for the Buffalo Bills as of right now. Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Joshua Palmer, Curtis Samuel, Tyrell Shavers, Mecole Hardman, Steven Gosnell, and Jalen Virgil. Other than Khalil Shakir, I mean, you could make an argument to move off of any of these guys and, just give me somebody new, honestly. Right. And even, Shakir isn't all-pro, but he's a good player. He helps you. They need Khalil Shakir. So, I don't want to put him in the stratosphere of the top guys in the league, but he's an important player. But if you told me today they wouldn't have Keon Coleman on the roster, like, okay, just tell me how you're going to replace him.
Same with Palmer.
Curtis Samuel?
Right.
Yeah, 100%, right? So I just think everything is on the table at wide receiver. I really do. And to your point, Mike, about positionless and, Shakir and where he can fit. I don't think anybody's sitting here thinking, I know I'm not, that Khalil Shakir is going to be this outside threat. Like, if you see Khalil Shakir lining up in the outside, you're defending the Buffalo Bills. I don't know, that doesn't scream, okay, we better put our number one corner on him. I think he's good enough to do anything on the football field. He's a good football player. But maybe what they're telling us is, if they want to use him there, maybe they're opening up something in the slot, whether that's Coleman or drafting somebody.
Omar Cooper Jr.
That's right. Or signing a free agent. Maybe they are more open to adding a slot receiver than maybe they have been. Is that the reason they didn't draft Ladd McConkey, right? You know what I mean? Like, yes. Well, we have Khalil Shakir. He's in the slot. Yes. Well, maybe it's like, let's stop thinking like that. Maybe we still need a guy like that, and we can move Khalil Shakir outside, and he doesn't have to play the slot all the time.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I felt about McConkey in that draft when Coleman was picked, is like, they already have that, which, it's not ideal unless you have CeeDee Lamb or somebody like that playing that position, or St. Brown. And then, okay, well, I don't even think about drafting somebody else to do the same thing. But Shakir is not and was not that. I think we all agree. 41 rules proposals. I mean, I can't even imagine. I don't agree. Let's ask Sal about this too. You mentioned what Sam said about New England.
Overvalued, yeah.
Overvalued. He was basically like, Sal, everybody's going to bet the Patriots next year and the Bears. And with all due respect to Sam, he lives in Boston and is from Chicago, and he's always complaining about his friends, the people he's around who just tout those teams. The Bears drove him crazy this year because he's on text threads where everybody's like, they're amazing, and Sam never did think they were amazing. I don't think the Patriots are going to get that kind of respect next year. I don't. I mean, I think the takeaway from their season is going to be the schedule, and that, okay, they're pretty good, but they were super lucky. I don't see the world rushing out to bet them, to win the division like it's nothing. Or maybe that's overstating it.
I don't disagree, but I mean, they do have like close to $40 million in cap space, and it could be more, and who knows when it's all said and done here. And I think that is still TBD based on how they use that. If they go out and get, if they trade for A.J. Brown, I mean, that helps them. Obviously, they need a more. It's kind of funny. They're looking at the same thing with the Bills. They need a receiver. They need edge rusher, right? Like they're kind of in the marketplace for the same thing the Bills are in a lot of ways here. So I agree with you, Mike, but they do have some money to spend that the Bills don't, and that could allow people to go, ooh, now they're really adding to help Drake May and to help that defense.
Right. Right. If they trade for A.J. Brown and the Bills, sign a mid-tier, like a Josh Palmer again, and maybe draft a guy on Saturday or maybe even on Friday, you might give the nod to New England. They got A.J. Brown, you didn't.
Concepcion is the guy I want.
Me too. I didn't know till today he was born in Rochester.
Really?
Yep. He was born in Rochester. His dad is a Bills fan. He moved to Carolina when he was younger. He grew up in Charlotte, and he spoke to the media today, and that came out. And he said, "Shout out to the 585" is what he said actually. So that's pretty cool actually. I did not know that, and I went back and looked. Just kind of revisit him. He was the Paul Hornung Award winner. Now, Paul Hornung Award is basically the most versatile player in college football. That's Travis Hunter the last 2 years who won that award. He won it this year. Saquon Barkley won it. Jabril Peppers on defense. Doesn't have to be an offensive player. You look at his numbers and why is he versatile? He's not just a really fantastic wide receiver. He's a return man. Well, guys, the Bills don't really have a return man on their roster right now. I guess you could say McCole Hardman, right? But maybe you want him at wide receiver. Like, it would be great to add a guy for the Bills who could do the receiver thing and still be a threat as return man.
If you Google KC Concepcion Wiki, which I just did because I wanted to see the Rochester thing, you get an actress from the Philippines. There's an actress from the Philippines by that name. So
you are spelling it KC like Kansas City, not like KC and the Sunshine Band, right? Or is that maybe that is KC? Is that
they're
KC?
both the same
or
KC.
Kasem. You're not like KC Kasem,
Has this Filipino actress ever been married to Lucinda Williams?
I mean, I've made one horrific mistake already today. You have to find Kevin Concepcion. That's the guy we want.
His name is Kevin, I believe. That's right.
Kevin.
That's his name.
Born in Rochester. All right. Yeah, we got to break the KC curse. His dad, the Bills fan, and he's named KC. Well, he's named Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
We got to break the KC curse. This is how we do it. This is the guy. Sal, I say that waiting on, the Scott Barretts and Matt Harmons of the world to point me in a different direction because their yards per route run wasn't very good or something. Right. Reserve the right to pivot. Thank you, Sal. Have a great weekend.
All right, you two guys, thank you.
That's our Sal Capacio on the Western Hotline. His appearances are always brought to you by New York's only outlet, Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet?
Concepcion was born in Rochester, New York, and moved to Charlotte, North Carolina when he was 3. I love the wording. Mom, Dad, I'm 3 now. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna move on. It's time for me to move on. Greener pastures, bigger things. He moved when he was 3. Maybe he was moved when he was 3. Maybe his family went too.
His family moved.
He went on his own.
I'm like he went because he had a paper route in North Carolina.
Stepped out of the house, took a cab, got on a train. Suddenly I'm in Charlotte. Cool little note on him. Talked yesterday about a guy that went to UB, Mike Washington, running back who Chris Trapasso says is moving up. Went to other schools, too, because now everybody does that.
Right.
But he spent some time at UB, Chris said. I didn't know that. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, 803-0550. Phone lines are open until 6 when it's time for Sabres pregame, Buffalo at Florida. Thanks for listening. This is WGR.
Game night, they are down in Florida to take on the Panthers pregame in just about a half hour at 6, a 7 p.m. puck drop. Zach Benson was on the ice for morning skate today, and while he was not ruled out for tonight, head coach Lindy Ruff did say the more likely option is Benson will be making his return tomorrow versus Tampa. In net for the Sabres, all signs are pointing to Alex Lyon getting the start. And around the rest of the NHL, it's just 3 other games tonight. Also at 7, the Capitals play host to Las Vegas. At 9, the Wild, they're in Utah versus the Mammoth. Then at 10, the Ducks, they host the Winnipeg Jets. And then the Rochester Americans, also in action tonight, they play host to Laval. That game will get going just after 7. For the Bills, they did announce another re-signing, safety Sam Franklin, a 3-year deal worth up to $7.5 million. And the NFL has announced the 2026 salary cap, $301.2 million, and that is a $22 million jump up from last year. And then game night locally, the Bandits, they host the Rush just after 7:30, and you can listen to tonight's game over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Buffalo is not a seller. They're going for it. The betting on Tuck is that he stays in Buffalo next week, whether there's an extension or not. I think he stays. Don't forget that Jarmo Kekalainen has been in this position before. When Columbus won their first ever playoff series beating Tampa, they had some UFAs. And Jarmo was in a position where he just said, we're going for it. And if we lose guys, we lose guys. And that's what they did. So he understands this. He knows how to handle it. And I think that's the way he will do it in Buffalo.
And then that's Elliot Friedman. And then again, this is maybe similar to Columbus. It would have to be the added element that the Sabres have not been in the playoffs for so long. Like there's no not pushing forward this year with this. I mean, they're in a spot anyway. What if they were – did we talk about this earlier?
I said if they were on the fringe, if they were like where Ottawa is or, Washington maybe, who are 5 points out.
That would be tough.
Then there's a balancing act there, and that might really come down. And this might be true of Toronto, Ottawa, Florida, Washington, Columbus. These next 3-4 games that they've got between now and next Friday, if they've got that many, probably 4 might be a lot, but 3 games probably. You win all 3, okay, we're buyers. Lose all 3, split them is probably worse. You go 2-1 or whatever. You're like, we didn't really gain any ground. What are we doing? You don't know really where to stand. I think the Sabres are squarely. I mean, they don't have to make it. To me, I feel like it would really be an upset now. I mean, they've looked the part for a long enough time here, and they do have the cushion they have that I'd be, I think, stunned if they didn't make it. But they're squarely in buy, not sell mode. They're just absolutely should be looking to add things to their team. I don't need them to go hog wild crazy, but if, the right thing presents itself and you can go get, one of the St. Louis guys that gets talked about, Thomas or Kyrou, I think I've got enough stuff that I can pull that off. That might include a player like I mentioned Jack Quinn earlier. And then, pick a couple guys from Rochester that are not, Oslin's here. He's on the team. Helenius is not quite on the team.
He should be.
But I don't want to. I don't need to. Protect everything. I can afford to part with some stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, I'm right with you.
I'd like to see
there's
another.
No question about
you
this.
said Helenius should be, and I don't agree with how it looked. It went really well to start, and I'm very excited about him. But I don't the idea that I've got a new kid line just like Vanek and Pominville and Roy, that didn't really take. He looked like he needed to be pulled out of there when he got pulled out. I would say I'd like to see him again at some point if the opportunity presents itself. But I'm not quite at. You might be. I'm not at. I need to open up a spot for him at this point. I think if he's got to play, I'm interested, but I'm not at he's breaking the door down myself on him.
Well, you have time. I mean, maybe they are thinking that he'll be up here when we get later. Maybe not. Maybe they need to see something more first. There's a game down there tonight. Laval. Wait, down there, we're out in Rochester. There's a game here, there.
Right.
Tonight. I'm not even sure if it's a home game. I'm completely flummoxed.
Oh, no. Now we're in real trouble.
Here I go trying to...
Yeah, right. You're trying to bring everybody under the tent.
Arms up.
Right.
And I've messed it up. I'm excited about him. Maybe it's not so bad that he's not up at the moment. But I'm looking forward to when he is.
I see a home game for Rochester tonight against the Laval Rocket.
The Bandits play tonight, too. I don't know about the Nighthawks. Do you have that over there?
I don't. I'm not.
What are you on, Rochester.com?
I just went to Rochester American schedule, and that came up that they play at home tonight.
Let's go to Jess here. Hi, Jess.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, not to change subjects or anything, but I try calling you guys every year with combine time about draft prospects. I don't know if you guys remember me and Bulldog going back and forth about I wanted Javonte Williams so bad my head was going to explode, and he wanted Travis Etienne. That's a couple years ago.
It is. It's a few years ago.
If I had a strong opinion about a running back, yeah, right. That is.
Oh, dude, Bulldog, you love Etienne.
Yeah, I did.
All about
I know.
Javonte, yeah.
Yep.
Listen, Tyson Jordan, the wide receiver out of Arizona State.
Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson.
I'm sorry. Jordan Tyson. 6'2", 200 pounds. They're saying that probably runs a 4.45. 4.45, 4.5 40. Watch him run routes. Anything's close to like an Njigba type receiver, he is it. I'm telling you, he is it.
Too early, right? I mean, he goes where? Top 10?
No way. You don't think? The injury history. No way.
Well, there is injury history, but he is a very highly rated prospect. The only question is whether or not the injuries will push him down, I think.
I think the injury is going to push him down probably later in the first round, not like probably in the late teens. If we can jump up and get him, I'm telling you, it'd be worth it, dude. He's a dog.
All right. Well, I guess this is the game the draft is. Like, when are we talking about? I am not trade up guy, so I don't think I'm going to want to do that at all. Plus, there's, not considered to be, no offense to the caller, he probably knows a lot. I don't hear a lot of, this is a great wide receiver year. But there are interesting names down the line. And that's what I need to be right if I'm drafting where the Bills are drafting. So I guess I'm saying I don't want to trade up for this. Like, this does not sound like the year where you would have to do that. Edge, another position of need, sounds like it's super deep. And this means also that I can sort of be patient, I think, and draft when it's my turn. Last year, the Bills made that move up with who? The Bears in the second round? They made a pretty good jump up in the second round. Was that for Walker or Sanders? I don't know. I just never like it because it's usually bad,
I think it was
math.
Sanders in the second. Walker was a fourth-round pick.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I missed Trapasso on Wednesday. We couldn't connect, and I know you talked to him yesterday. Did Chris Bell come up at all? This is the Louisville guy that got hurt. I think he had an ACL injury in like November. Are you looking at your notes? Yes. I love this. 6'2", 220. One scouting report I'm looking at right now has the look and feel of a true X receiver at the NFL level. Size and speed combination, 6'2", 220, 4.4 40. The injury, right? I think he said when he spoke, right, was yesterday or today's receiver day, that the projections are that he'll be ready for camp, is what he's saying today anyway. And so that's a name that I had not really thought about. I heard about him talking today, and then just glanced at a couple of scouting reports, and that's a pretty interesting player that could be a really good value. Again, because of the injury, if the injury pushes him down, I don't even know if you need to do that in the first round. Maybe
Doesn't
you
sound
do.
like it. Not yet.
But that could be a really. I just love the profile athletically. Like, he just sounds like perfect.
Well, tomorrow's a day where that gets shaken up some.
Right.
Not everybody's going to run, but you'll have a couple of wow moments, right? Like
you would expect.
Who was the guy last year? Zach will know, that ran the 4.29, and then didn't really work out for him. Who's this player? Remember this at the Combine last year? One guy ran.
Jaden Blue said he was going to run a fast time and then did not.
Right. That's what happened last year.
He was talking about, I'm going to break Worthy's record, and then ran like a 4.4.
Yeah,
kind of embarrassing.
And the takeaway was, what's the worst way to run a 4.4? Say you're going to run a 4.2.
Right.
And do that. 4.4 still seems pretty good.
Yeah.
But what happened to him, after that? Jaden Blue.
He's on the Cowboys now.
Did he do anything?
No.
Don't think so, no.
No.
Never does not come to my mind fantasy-wise at all.
No. He did not do much at all, if anything. Like, I don't even know if he got on the field.
Is this the running back? With the blue shoes?
Jaden Blue's a running back.
With the blue shoes?
Yeah.
And coach was always kind of talking him down?
But wasn't there a Texas Isaiah Bond?
Isaiah Bond
was the Texas receiver who said he was going to beat Worthy's record, and then he didn't. And then Max Hairston, the Bills cornerback, ended up running the fastest 40 time at the Combine last year.
Isaiah Bond.
But he didn't break a record. But Isaiah Bond was the guy that was going to break it, and he ran a lousy time. Well, lousy, whatever. He just didn't come close to breaking the record.
Well, he had off the field allegations, sexual assault allegations. I'm reading, and then he did sign with Cleveland
right? Yeah.
in the summer. I mean, draft season. Here come the names. Here come last year's names, even.
Right, some of them, if we can remember them.
Eventually, we did
in the right context. We did get there. Yeah, I knew who you were referring to, and I knew it wasn't Jaden Blue. So I just had to think for a second, and Bond was it.
The letters are the same, 6 and 4. That's the problem. That's where you get mixed up.
Yeah,
that's where I get mixed up.
That's where you get mixed up. Yeah.
Yeah, Jaden Blue was the running back who, speaking of the caller mentioning Javonte Williams, could not unseat maybe even Miles Sanders before he got hurt, or ultimately Javonte Williams.
And haven't
not even close.
They've already done a contract, I think, right?
They have.
That was yesterday, Javonte Williams.
Who was right, Williams or ETN? Who was right? It got to be ETN.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
He's had a better career. I mean, Williams hurt his knee, kind of lost a year.
Yeah.
Surprisingly good, I would say, for Dallas. He wasn't super efficient, but he held up and impressed them so much that they paid him. He's a big ADP chasing story, Bulldog, because nobody ever likes Javonte, the caller notwithstanding, nobody ever likes Javonte Williams, but for the situation he's in, and that is a big statement. So now there's apparently, there's no vacancy in Dallas. It's his, and that should be good for fantasy, right? He'll be easily their number one running back.
Still
maybe 3 downs.
Still a problem for Jaden Blue, though.
Yes, big problem for Jaden Blue and everyone else involved. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here with Sabres pregame at 6 tonight on WGR. Am I trying to talk Bulldog into it? I think it turned into that. I think it did turn into that.
You couldn't help yourself, even though you, I think, know in your heart of hearts that there's no chance.
There's no chance. No, you'll watch curling first. You'll watch fantasy football. You'll watch ADP chasing before you watch the traders.
Boy, we are really in tough.
Don't you think?
We are really in tough now. Yeah, well, you're on the ADP.
Despite that, you'll watch it.
No, well, that's the main reason I would watch it.
Okay.
But no, I'm not. No.
No, you're looking for a new show now, you say.
I am. But I don't either want to find a new show that's 8 seasons, because Homeland, I was like tied to that for 3 months, I guess it took me maybe to watch it. And I don't want that. I was talking to you about the Dylan movie from already more than a year ago. Like I haven't seen that. I didn't see the Bruce Springsteen movie, the biopic of him.
What about Neil Diamond?
Never saw that. I've got stuff that I like, one-off stuff I need to watch.
I think that's on one of the.
Yeah, it is.
Peacock or
it's around.
Netflix. It's around.
Yeah, they're all around.
Yes. Tony is next. Hello, Tony.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to say that, if Brandon Beane, like Sal said, still has an expectation that he's going to win a Super Bowl with what he's put together, and I want to be wrong about this, but you have a rookie head coach. You hired a rookie head coach, and he's a rookie head coach at every level. He never was a head coach. And so, Mike, you're good at this. You look at it analytically, it just doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. So to have that expectation just isn't realistic, just like it's not realistic for Beane to keep McDermott around as long as he did, or hire linebackers that only run sideline to sideline. It's just a failure again of Josh Allen. Josh Allen has needed good coaching his last 8 years, and he hasn't gotten it in key situations. And so to expect that a rookie head coach is going to win a Super Bowl, it's not good. It's just not going to work. And that's what makes me pull my hair out about this organization. They have the best player. They're so blessed to have him, and he's almost nice to a fault. And they could have hired Daboll, and Daboll has an edge. If somebody like Stephon Diggs was running up and down the sideline like he was a couple of years ago, somebody like Daboll would have body slammed him. And Josh Allen didn't.
He was here.
And, that's what they need. It can't just be Spencer Brown who has an edge on this team. They need an edge on the sideline. Somebody's got an attitude. I just don't think Brady's that guy, and I want to be wrong. Well,
maybe you will be. We're saying a lot of words about a team that's won a lot of games. Like if they don't have edge now, or they don't have whatever. I mean, it's a little rich for me. And again, whether it's Joe Brady or Sean McDermott, or it could have been someone else, really, they're probably going to have another season where it comes down to the little things in the playoffs. And those things have gotten them beat. Not that they're all little, but, these are all close games, very winnable games. And I don't think you have to be the best coach to win some of those games. Not all the teams that win have the best coaches. And I would even say his being a rookie doesn't have to be a deal breaker for me either. I mean, they're going to have a great look at it. They should have a great look at it. Maybe the roster will be a lot different. Maybe that's not all bad. But I'm not as pessimistic as you.
I am. I don't know that I'm as pessimistic as the caller, but I'm sort of nodding at the questions. I mean, you might guess this from our conversation already from a couple of hours ago with Sam, when we were talking about how overvalued New England might be on the betting market. Like, what about Buffalo? There's a lot that they have to get right, and the first-time head coach is a part of that, and I think it's a key part of that, considering the command McDermott had of the entire locker room and just how dialed in he was on that piece. I think that's a big lift for a first-time head coach to get right. That doesn't mean he can't do it. I think it's a lot to ask. And then, not even thinking about all the pieces they need to figure out on offense with the guard and the center, and while they overhauling the receiver room and yada, yada. And I've got a whole new defensive scheme that, of course, any guy that is held over is a perfect fit for. But, if it doesn't go well, we'll hear about how he wasn't. And some of that will be settling because of the contracts. And, there's just a lot more uncertainty here. Like, if the defense was just in place and it wasn't McDermott's baby and it was excellent, they had a dominant edge rusher, and we knew who all these different people were going to be, and you hired your offensive coordinator, your head coach, like, okay, I think we can just keep going. That's not the case here.
Thanks, Tony. I'm sure we will talk again. Sabres and Panthers tonight. I can't be sure of that. Sabres and Panthers tonight, pregame next on WGR.
Looking forward to the weekend. Day was Thursday. Today, yeah, it's Friday.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
We so excited. We gonna have a ball today. Tomorrow is Saturday.
I'm itching inside. My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did? I took Deborah, went to the liquor store. I loaded up with alcohol, more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550. It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Football today. Tomorrow is Saturday.
I'm itching inside. My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did? I took Deborah, went to the liquor store. I loaded up with alcohol, more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.
Looking forward to the weekend. Day was Thursday. Today, yeah, it's Friday.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
We so excited. We gonna have a ball today. Tomorrow is Saturday.
I'm itching inside.